So I'm going to read something, apparently. My White Best Friend by Rachel de-lahay. First up, a request from the writer. Just a quick audience reshuffle. For fairness, just white, able-bodied to the back. Just to say we know what's going on out there, but in here, this space is safe, thank you. Right, this is Rachel doing me, if that makes sense, hopefully it will. Okay. Hi, my name is Rebecca Reynolds. I'm best friends with Rachel de-lahay. Best. I'm also an actor, hence, and I'm stood here representing myself, literally, and also every other white friend of Rachel's ever. In Birmingham, where Rachel's from, her friends were mainly black and Asian, but she doesn't see them much nowadays. They text and FaceTime, and she goes back, though not as much as she like, because, you know, life. So she misses them a lot. But it's okay, because we, the collective of me and Rachel's other white friends, we met nearly 13 years ago. Wow, 13 years. We've lived together, got drunk together, experimented with drugs together, fallen in love with each other, seen each other fall in love with others, helped mend heartbreak, fought, my God, have we fought. Laughed, cried, sang to Britney and Rihanna at the tops of our voices in our bedrooms in pyjamas on an exclusive diet of Blossom Hill. Rachel once held my hair back as I threw up on the night bus. I was vomiting between my legs after having one too many free glasses of Cristal in the VIP section of China Whites. I said it then, I'll say it again. Cristal is literally wasted on 21-year-olds who drink Lamborghini when getting ready. We started a diet together once, eating an excellent 3-bean casserole that I prepared. Then on our way to the gig, Rachel nearly passed out on the tube from weakness, and I had to get her off and buy her a king-sized Twix. I borrowed her dress on holiday and it looked better on me, and she hated me for it. Then, the day Rachel found out she was going to be paid to rewrite her first ever play, I was with her in Chanel on Bond Street. We were staring at the life we wanted, and when she got off the phone, we sat down in front of a quilted navy lambskin 2.55 flat bag and thought, one step closer. Then a sales assistant started talking to us and somehow got us confused with people who were legitimately capable of buying said bag, so we quickly left. I went to the botanist where I bought us a Bellini, mine orange, Rachel's red. What I'm saying is, I can't replace her decades-long friendships from back home. I can't be Nitu or Dana, who are both fucking ace. I've met them lots, but we have known each other for a really long time now, and we are family. The first time I met her other family, her Dana and Nitu, they came down together for a birthday party of one of the girls from our drama school. Well, they came down to see Rachel, and Rachel dictated circumstances, so we were all going to hang for the first time. I was a little nervous, as anyone is when they're about to meet the friends of your new best friend. You wonder if it's going to work, basically, if there'll be a jostling of position, but there wasn't really. It was easy. Me and Nitu got told off quite vehemently by Rachel for pouring and drinking Malibu and Coke in the back of Rachel's car after we promised we wouldn't, because we understood there was literally no way to guarantee we wouldn't spill any, which we did, lots. But Nitu laughed, which allowed me to laugh, as Nitu had known Rachel for way longer, so that was the cement of me and Neats. Then Dana asked me where I was from, and I said East, and for the rest of the night I became Bianca, as in EastEnders, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of easy, nickname me, I'm yours, so yeah, that cemented us. I was one of the girls. Did I notice they were brown and black girls? Yes. Did I care? No. So we go to the party and no judgment, Nitu and Dana peeked and brushed hard. I was in charge of pouring in the back of the car, so I take a bit of responsibility, but I was still standing, so. Rachel had to put them both to bed and then came back down, and it was back to being us, the drama school lot, and everyone rushed to tell Rachel how ace her Birmingham friends were, but equally we were kind of okay with them being in bed and there being no more outsiders. I think I said this to Rachel as a way of flattering her, exaggerating a kind of jealousy, and she smiled and pretended to be flattered. Then we danced. The next time they were down, they'd bought tickets to some club night in Elephant that they had to book months in advance with named DJs and celebrity PAs and singers, or, I don't know. I'd never even heard of it, but I wasn't going anyway because I was hideously hungover and more than happy to spend an entire evening in pyjamas with zero plans. Until Nitu and Dana arrived. And then there was music and getting ready and Lamborghini ovs. And then, I wanted to go. So I asked, and of course everyone screamed yes, it was Bianca. Even though sourcing an extra ticket proved nigh on impossible, but Dana knew someone who knew someone, so we were off to a typical club that was going to be playing typical music. Only the whole thing was less than typical. There was this queue outside that seemed to snake all the way around the building, and these cars parked up front blaring bass, and these loud girls in these tiny, I'm all for short shorts, but I don't know. It just wasn't typical. No one was really drinking. Instead, there was these moody guys stood in corners blocking pathways to toilets to just stare and smoke. Inside, smoking. Beneath their hoodies and attitudes, and the girls weren't much different. I didn't get the big deal. Why would you plan for this? A song that me and Rachel had said was our song suddenly boomed out, and Rach grabbed my hips and pushed me onto the dance floor. But everyone was dancing so wild, and I couldn't dance like that, so I really was tired and hungover, and I reckoned it was just my time to crash. But Nitu grabs my arm and tries to take me to dance with her, and Dana is like, Bianca, you need another shot, but I didn't. I needed to go. And then Rachel saw it too, so she dropped me home. In the car, we mainly drove in silence. I thanked her a lot and apologised for being a hassle, and when we got home, I said goodbye as she was going back out, and then I said, I love you, and though she didn't say it back, she smiled. So, most recently, when Nitu and Dana had come down, we had an impromptu house party, as in we'd gone to the pub but then wanted to keep drinking for a long time after the pub had closed, so everyone ended up back at ours. We were in the flat drinking, smoking, some people smoking things they shouldn't be. I guess I knew 85% of the people there. I think Rachel knew the same, but we had a good enough guy mates with us to feel safe about the fact that a few randomers had come back. So, music's playing through my iPhone. Then some smart Alec thought to link up the sound to the TV for more volume, so my phone is switched off, the telly's switched on, and it's late and on some 24-hour news thing showing some sort of protest which completely kills the vibe. Rachel knew it was the Black Lives Matter protest against the murder of Alton Sterling, a man who was restrained by 2 officers and then filmed from several different angles by several different members of the public, all showing the officers pinning down his arms and chest and head, and still then shooting him twice, dead. She knew this, because that was the reason Dana and Nitu had come down that day the 3 of them had gone to the march. I wasn't invited. Had I been, I would have loved to go, but no one told me about it, so I didn't know. Anyway, we're having this party, and suddenly the news is on opposed to Beyonce, and someone screams, where's the fucking music? And then someone else goes, what the fuck is this? And the third is like, why are they allowed to say that? Black Lives Matter, like, is that not racist? Like, why do they matter more? And I shrugged, because again, I didn't know. And Nitu and Dana looked really uncomfortable, and the silence that followed that went on felt like a lifetime, was eventually filled with agreements and yes, and it's a little aggressive, kind of exclusive. Someone mattered how we don't get a White History Month, which is true. Then Rachel got shouted out across the room, "Are you kidding?" And we're back to silence. And awkward giggles and stifled laughs and girls on their phones pretending to text like there's anyone to text at 1 a.m. and if there is, why are you here? And in the background on the news, name after name of other black men and women who'd been killed this year alone. I had to switch it off. I decided everyone was too drunk and high to deal with this conversation, so I turned the telly off and the music back on. Rachel didn't have to thank me for that. She's my best friend. She then sat in the corner of the room with Nitu and Dana, chastising herself for not having the words to explain to that idiot the point of Black Lives Matter. And as I joined them, I heard Nitu say, "Maybe not every day us educating and not every day them not knowing, maybe some days remembering Google is free." And Rachel nodded, and wanting to support, I reminded them, sometimes white people don't feel it's their place to speak about race, you know? And Nitu and Dana smiled. They really are the best. Then Nitu dragged Rachel to her feet to dance because, well, we really were all too drunk to talk about this. I ended up in the garden that night for ages talking to one of the randoms who was kind of funny and smart and looked a little like Macaulay Culkin in a Terry Richardson photo shoot, which was sadly exactly my type back then. And by the time I came back in, the party was over, everyone had gone to bed. Then Rachel walks back in pyjamas to clear up the last of the rubbish, so me and Macaulay help. Then when Rachel bends over in front of him, he makes just an awkward joke about us being the last two girls, so him having pick of the bunch or something. I don't even try to hear this ending, I've already got him his coat. But now he's mortified and apologises straight away, first to me, then to Rachel, then laughing nervously, he declares he was obviously kidding, because he liked me. And Rachel wasn't even really his type, like he'd never even dated a black girl before. Not that he had a problem with black girls, it just was a fancying thing, like he wasn't really ever into girls with dark nipples, they just weren't his thing. Still holding his coat, Rachel now opened the door. He left, then I went to bed then. Remember I said we fought? Rachel called after me, asking if she could ever expect my support ever. I thought this was really unfair, as her two examples of me being unsupportive were when dealing with men who were just too stupid or awkward or drunk to even engage with, and they didn't deserve a response, you know. I then looked up at Nitu and Dana were now in the doorway in their pyjamas, Dana in a Black Lives Matter tee that Rachel looked at and then scoffed, mumbling something about that not being the only time you weren't there. And I couldn't just stop, so I continued with, I would have come on that march if you wanted my support. I would have been there, but you never asked, you never told me. I didn't even know it was happening, so how could I? I'm not psychic. And then she scoffed again, and then Nitu passed me to get to her and Dana some water, and the room was now painfully quiet, so I carried on. And I would have spoke up to that guy about the Black Lives Matter thing, but you already did. And it got awkward, and I'm not an academic. I don't know how to phrase things. I don't know the history of things, so I don't know what to say. And the nipple thing, that's just blatant, ignorant racism, so what could I say to that? And then I just felt horrible and kept thinking, why is my friend making me feel like this? And her friends were just watching and clearly thinking things, and I was like, this is stupid. I'm not the enemy. I'm not a racist. I've done nothing wrong. And yet I was here being shouted at like I have. And I thought I'd never do this to her. I'd never make anyone feel like this, ever. Then Rachel said, sorry, because I was right, it wasn't my problem, she said. Sorry for allowing a boy's stupid comments to get to me. I know I'm better than that. I'm tougher than that, so sorry. Sorry for allowing myself to get drunk and become weak and vulnerable to those comments. Sorry for forgetting there's no time for that. There's only time for remembering to look after yourself because no one else will. Sorry for wondering if he called me fat, if you would have been more vocal, because that's besides the point. And I'm sorry for hoping the murder of young lives constantly, consistently would outrage you like it did me and make you want to investigate and shout and scream and be at the centre of every protest ever, like I had to be. Sorry for always getting that you and your friends sometimes want me to yourself because you love me and love spending time with me, and when that means me being the only minority in a room again. Shake it off. Sorry for taking you to a party where you were the... Sorry for daring to take you to a party where you were the minority. Sorry for seeing that you wouldn't like that, be comfortable with that at all, and for not trying harder to come up with a better, safer lie in advance as to why you shouldn't join us in Elephant. Sorry for being disappointed with your not getting the big deal and not being capable of saying to you when I dropped you home, I love you. Because I do, I really do. I just get angry and need to learn to monitor that better because none of this is your problem. None of it. So sorry for assuming you'd give a fuck when you're the embodiment of every privilege I smack up against every day, with your face that's celebrated in every corner of this earth. You seek out normal shampoo and don't think to question it while I sit here like, man, that must be ace being normal. That's Rachel's apology, except it wasn't, because that fight didn't happen at all. I just went to bed and Rachel let me, because this is the fight you and your white best friend will never have. Because how do you say to someone you love, you let me down? How do you ask your white best friend to try and visibly give a damn, change your profile picture, share that post, march, knowing it will make them feel uncomfortable? How could you ever put your white best friend on stage and remind them they're part of the problem? If you love them, if you never want anyone to feel, even for a moment, how you feel living in this world every day. So we don't discuss it, which means I never got to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry when you spoke your mind. I shuffled and shifted, uncomfortable with the dialogue. I'm sorry that on gutsier days I argued points defending myself first and foremost as a woman, a white woman, struggling to see the difference. I'm sorry, I never thought to educate myself privately and fight, not even alongside you, but in front of you, because maybe you're tired. This is the most uncomfortable I've been on stage and I don't like it one bit, but maybe that's okay. Maybe not every day enjoying our privileges and coasting through life, comfortable. Maybe some days putting ourselves out there for somebody else, standing up loudly, visibly for someone less privileged and bearing the brunt of brazen misogyny, racism and homophobia that can incur. I'm not that white woman yet. These words aren't my words. They are a request, an offering from my best friend who thinks if we have the ability to reshuffle and change a small space like this so quickly into a safe space, we have the ability to change the world. And having had a bit of time off up until now, asking me to do my bit. Thank you for this experience.
I didn't think it was going to resonate with me as much as it did.
There's one line, and it's about just being tired, and I felt that spiritually. I felt that on a level. It's like, oh, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, I'm sorry that I let this comment get to me, but then I'm just tired, I'm weary, like I can't deal with this all the time. Like, can you do something?
Deal with it,
Just once.
And it's sad because, you know, sometimes someone is your friend and you just like, you know, when you realize this person can't see you, is heartbroken.
I'm used to having to be grouped. Black women are like this, black people are like this, but I feel like a lot of white people have never been like white people. So once you say it, it's like, no, not me.
Race is a very integral part in how the world receives you, and your personal politics has to kind of account for that. And I think in a friendship, for me, that's important.
It's difficult, and it's because you're generally dealing with your friends, so you're not dealing with horrible, hateful, racist people. It's good people that, you know, I know that you're cool, and we're all cool, but it's when you make people slightly uncomfortable with something, and also something that means so much is all of you, you become passionate about it, you become angry about it, and then they go, oh, she's going on one of those rants. And then you become the angry black woman, and then so you don't want to be that, and then you try and come at another angle. And then when someone's resisting something so much because they just won't take a step back to look at themselves, and I guess it's a hard thing to acknowledge that some of the things that people are doing, they might not realise what they're doing and the impact it has on people around you. And I guess that's a difficult thing and hard for some people to hear, and that's why it becomes, because you can't, if someone's not listening to you and they're not hearing you, then you go, there's nothing more I can do.